One of the biggest arguments that I've heard in terms of AI usage in the classroom and from students is that it's going to destroy the critical thinking skills of students across the board. Teachers, educators, professors are all struggling to crack down on having their students use AI and struggling to figure out their way out of the other side of it. And while that is a real problem, the other thing that I'm seeing is the fact that educators themselves use AI like daily. Um, at least for myself, admittedly, I tend to use AI to automate, certain tasks, making, 100 sentences that are incorrect, incorrect on purpose from Chat GPT or whatever I'm using. Um, things that would take me a long time to do that are tedious, I tend to automate those. But that usage for myself tends to be less than 3% of even a week, a month, whatever you want. It's a very small percentage, right? I don't have the quantization of how much I use AI in the classroom because it's so minuscule that I don't often count it at all. What I see though is that I do see a lot of educators leaning towards that automation. And I think overall it's fine. I think overall, if again, if it is less than like 5% of your school year that you're using AI and you're using it for planning, I think for the most part it's fine. I think that there's a lot of parts of teaching that need to be automated that can benefit from automation on behalf of the teacher's sake, especially because we are dealing with so many students, especially if you're in middle school, you're dealing with up to 100 different students, right? If not more. And going on to high school, same thing. So when it comes to automating those processes and just saving yourself time, I really don't see anything wrong with it. I think in the future, and this may be a bigger topic, I think in the future districts should lean in to having their own local AI system, if that's a possibility. Having some sort of AI on campus. I know we have a server room on campus. Um, having that locally so that teachers can continue to use those automations is going to be a big benefit. Um, the thing that I really have trouble with is teachers using it for artwork. And I think this is like the one thing that a lot of people just across the board have a really big problem with when it comes to AI and art and digital art is the fact that we as humans can go and create these things ourselves. We can have someone create them. And I think that I've seen a lot of teachers try to lean into AI art where you have teachers, maybe making a flyer, you have them making posters for their room, and everything just looks samey same. The same feeling you get when you go to the farmer's market or when you go to a restaurant, and everybody and the menus have that AI look to them. Um, the posters, the artwork, all looks like it was ran through Chat GPT or whatever they're using. And that's something I have a problem with, especially because, at least from my experience, that's an opportunity that we can be giving to students to show off their art skills. One of the things that I really love that my city did not even last year, several months ago, was they looked for somebody in our school district to do some artwork for the electrical boxes around the city. And they picked some students to do it, and they did their best work. They had their artwork put on those electrical boxes, and it was a really cool thing for them to do and for the whole city to see as they drive by it. It gives the city personality. And I think that as schools and as teachers and as any entity in the education system needs that artwork, really leaning into the students is going to be one of the most beneficial and beautiful things, uh, in just that they can express themselves, they can feel that their work and their art is valued, beyond the sense of like, well, you were able to sell this for $1 million or whatever it was. They can feel like it was valued amongst their peers, and I think that schools definitely need to start leaning into kids to start doing artwork. They need to start maybe even having a dedicated club in which those students go for an hour a week and do posters for the school, learn to use Canva, used to learn basic Photoshop, and learning those processes, because those are things that are going to be valued in the future. That human ingenuity, that human innovation, human expression is going to be valued. And I'm not the first person to say this. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh my God, like I am this person that thought of this, right? But I do think that it starts from a base level. Um, when I'm on Twitter or when I'm on Instagram and I see the comments of people that are just pissed off because, their favorite company, their favorite brand used AI art, that's an opportunity for somebody to go and do artwork for them. One story that I really loved was the girl that did I think it was a Kit Kat bar or Snickers bar. She did a jingle for a chocolate bar. I can't remember what chocolate it was, but she did a jingle on TikTok, and they ended up contacting her and using that jingle. And that's something that, they didn't do within. The company did not do within. Excuse me. The company did not do within, but it gave that person the ability to shine and express themselves and become popular for the moment. And maybe they found a new passion in their life because their favorite candy bar decided to use their jingle. Maybe now they want to write more jingles. And we have an infinite amount of human creation, an infinite amount of people that are willing to be creative and shine, where maybe 20 to 50 years ago, companies were not leaning into uh, the public to express themselves for a commercial. They had to dig within and find people to do it. And there are people on TikTok making fake commercials for the sheer sake of just being funny. So we have a lot of abilities as people. We have a lot of abilities just here in any random campus for someone to really shine through. And, we need to show that those things are valued. There needs to be prize money. There needs to be a fund for people that have their work displayed across campuses, displayed out in the world. There needs to be a fund for that. I think that people should feel like, wow, you know what? I got paid for my work. Maybe it wasn't $1 million. Maybe it was $300, but absolutely my creation was valued. But as far as like other AI usage, again, I think it's really just going to boil down to how people are using it, how people are using it to manage their time and find the best way to do things. Because I think, again, when it comes to teaching, there is just tons of automation opportunities. And I think that something like Claude AI, ChatGPT, being able to do those tasks for you within seconds is very valuable. I think that Claude, I'm still on the fence on how I feel about Claude giving free access to educators for their AI service, but we'll see how that plays out, right? I'm sure they're farming out tons and tons of data um, based on the fact that teachers are just going to use this for free. And, I'm going to end up dipping my toe in the water at some point and face the criticism on here because I'm sure that's going to piss somebody off. But you sit in the teaching profession for longer than a month and you try to find out how much you can tolerate without trying to automate your day. As I had another video, I think on my other channel, where I automated a lot of processes using OpenClaw. That was something that ultimately helped me out through the last part of the school year last year. So I absolutely think there is value in AI as long as it's being used in that term, in those terms. But we'll see how the future continues to play out with AI in education. If you have made it this far into my video, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.